We had planned to hold a site visit for the commission at the time we brought the draft amendment back to you, but unfortunately due to the pandemic, that is not possible. So before I get into the presentation, I want to provide you with a virtual site visit using photographs and the site plan to help orient you with a snapshot of the West Campus, still focusing on key areas and buildings of this part of the campus, such as the lawn and the plateau areas. To assist in the virtual tour, to the right of the photograph will be a site plan with the area or the building currently shown outlined. We will start our tour entering the West Campus off Shepherd's Parkway via Gate 4, passing the new parking garage you see here on the right of the photograph, and then we start moving up past the historic power plant buildings. Immediately to the east of the power plant buildings are the two historic smokestacks that will be retained under the amendment. Adjacent to the historic power plant buildings and the smokestacks is the Ravine area, shown in this image, with the historic ice house on the left of the image. And I will mention that the slope of the ravine has severe stabilization issues, especially behind the power plant, that GSA will attempt to resolve with the new construction. You can also start seeing in this image the changes in the topography. At the top of this, where my cursor is the plateau area, which will be the focus on a lot of our discussion today. Moving up into the campus is the new Coast Guard building that uses a terrace design to adjust the slope of its location and slopes towards the parkway. Here's a photograph of the main entrance to the Coast Guard building. And here is an image showing the terrace levels of the Coast Guard building with their green roofs, as well as you can see the views towards the river and the core of downtown Washington, kind of where my cursor should be. Adjacent to the Coast Guard building, slightly to the north, is Sweetgum Lane and is the proposed site for DHS's new Intelligence and Analysis building. The historic cemetery is located down the hill from the Sweetgum Lane site. This is where the cemetery is located on the site plan, and now where my cursor is the proposed location for the I&A building. Adjacent to the Sweetgum Lane site, where the new I&A building is also Building 15, which is proposed for demolition under the amendment. This building was used as a staff residence, and several other examples of this building type will be retained on the West Campus as examples of this form. Heading east from Sweetgum Lane, we pass the historic Center building that has been fully rehabilitated and now serves as the offices for the Secretary of DHS. Now we've arrived to the West Campus's plateau and starting to move towards the lawn. In this image, you can see the historic Hitchcock building on the right, located on the north axis. Here it is on the site plan, circled, and it's located on the north axis of the lawn. In the image, you can also see the smokestacks that we passed earlier on the tour, and you're also looking towards the river. Looking south from the Hitchcock building, the historic Administration Row frames the lawn on the east side. The buildings of Administration Row will be retained and mothballed with the intent of future rehabilitation and use. At the end of the lawn, you can also see Building 69. And here is an image of Building 69. Building 69 is proposed for demolition under the draft amendment before you. Now moving to the south and west of the lawn area, you can see this part of Building 69 on the left of the image and Building 68 across the lawn. Here is here's a close-up of Building 68, which is one of the lawn's pavilion buildings proposed for demolition under the amendment. And now we are on the south end of the lawn, in front of Building 69, looking back across the lawn towards the Hitchcock building. And here's another view of the northwest side of the lawn with the Hitchcock building on the right side of the image. You can see slightly a little bit of the smokestack sticking up over the trees. And from the lawn, you can see a photograph of Building 64, which is being retained under the amendment. Finally, we'll end our tour looking at a photograph looking west over the ravine towards the river with the smokestacks to the left side of the image. Hopefully for those of you who have not been to St. Elizabeth's, this virtual tour provided you with a better orientation to the West Campus as we now move into discussing the draft amendment.